In this lesson, we'll learn how to work with trajectories. First, what is a trajectory? Well, it's a visual interpretation of the path of an animated object. This is a wonderful animation tool because we can use it to correct arcs. Let's go ahead and take a look at some more options we have with Max's trajectory system. Now, before we start to work with those settings, let's go ahead and first add a bit of animation to the scene. By the way, this is an asset that we use in our intro to Max tutorial. So if you're wanting to know how to rig the airship here, we actually go in and we set up a system to enable the turbines to spin. So as we hit play, if we go ahead and increase this fan speed parameter, notice we can go ahead and have those spin automatically. So those are some things that we learn in that tutorial if you are wanting more information on rigging. So if we would like to go ahead and animate this, we could always work with auto key. And I've set the fan speed to about 12 or so, just so that the ship doesn't appear to just kind of be pulled by something without actually flying off. So we'll now go ahead and head over to frame 60, and let's go ahead and translate our ship up and forward. All right, great. So if we were to now move over to our motion panel, we can go ahead and enable trajectories by simply clicking on the trajectories button here right next to parameters, and instantly you can see the path of this object, which is really cool. So from this we know that, hey, if we wanted to add an arc, we'd need to go to, let's say, a frame in between, maybe frame 30, and we can now go ahead and lift our ship or lower the ship. Notice how the path changes on the fly. So now as we start to scrub through, instantly we have a nice arc, which is great. We could also add keyframes to this path. In order to do so, we'd use the Add Key tool right underneath the Trajectories rollout. However, you can see that we don't have access to it. How can we access this tool? Well, we simply need to go to the sub-object level of this trajectory. Now, you can see that keys have been enabled. We can go ahead and choose Add Key. Click anywhere on our trajectory, and you can see a keyframe has been added. All right, great. So we can add resolution this way. It's essentially going in and adding position keys. How can we remove keyframes? Well, we'd first want to turn off Add Key mode by clicking on that button again. We can now go ahead and highlight a keyframe that we would like to remove. Let's say this key here on about frame 20. And now we can go in and simply use the Delete key button, and that key has been wiped out. So that's basically how that works. Now, what are some more options that we have? Well, if we wanted to, we could actually create a spline from the path of this object. It's really simple. We'd head over to Spline Conversion and click on Convert To. If we were to go back to Parameters to turn off trajectories, you can see a spline has been added. Now, here's the really neat thing about this. If we wanted an object to follow the exact path of this object, it's very easy to do that now. I'll go ahead and turn off auto key, head over to the create panel and create, let's say, a sphere. Let's go ahead and quickly add that to our scene. All right, let's right click to exit the sphere tool. And now take a look at this. When we go back to the motion panel, go back to trajectories, we can go ahead and choose convert from with the object that we'd like to attach to the path selected. So when we go ahead and choose convert from, now we would choose the spline we'd like to connect the object to, and you can see that it will follow the exact animation of our object. Take a look at the keyframes that were created. This is all regulated by this section at the top here. We can choose a start time, an end time, and then the amount of keys we would like to add throughout that range right up here. So you can see that the keyframes go from 0 to 240. Right now, this active time segment is from 0 to 220, but if I were to hold down Control Alt and drag to add just a few more frames to this, you could see there is that last key. And if you were to count these out, yes, they would be 30 keyframes. So this is a wonderful way to kind of plot the animation out. And we're not constraining this object at all. If we wanted to, we can grab that sphere and offset it. So we can go ahead and pull this over. And now you'll see that Max will remember that offset. All right, so this is a really neat feature. Now at the bottom we have ways to collapse our animation. So if we want to collapse the animation of this object here in position and rotation, we most certainly can by simply clicking on collapse. and all of that information that's been baked down. So this is a way we can go about animating objects along a path, but it's really just going to take care of the position of that object. So in the following lesson, we're going to learn about path animation, how to actually constrain an object to a path. We'll take a look at some really neat settings we have to animate that object along the path. So let's go ahead and move on to the following lesson and learn how to do just that.